welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching Daybreak Extra on Trust TV, and like we have actually said, it's now time for the newspaper review, and we'll take a look at the front pages of the national dailies this beautiful Saturday morning. We'll begin with Daily Trust Saturday, and on Daily Trust Saturday we have the lead story that talks about how businesses are shutting down due to poor power supply and cost of fuel. Now we have writers here that says economy will collapse without government support. Barbers, welders, dry cleaners say, and then reforms should be bit by bit, says Dr. Yayi. And you know, this is something we've actually always been talking about since the fuel subsidy removal, and you can never overemphasize, you know, the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy.
Indeed.
A lot of people who are actually managing, a lot of businesses who are still struggling, they find it very, very difficult.
They find it difficult.
And
even the established ones are struggling, you know, because there was a report by Abdullah Yamadi, a reporter, you know, about 2 restaurants in Katsina, and it's the same complaint.
Everywhere.
I mean, people don't have money for leisure anymore. It's all about necessity
Business
now.
and everything. And you know, the funny thing is, it seems like the economy isn't too kind to small business owners, because, okay, you come out of university or you don't even go to school, and then what you want to do is actually acquire a skill and do something for yourself. And, you know, they actually bring in a lot of money to the economy.
Indeed.
And then you end up opening, you know, a small business, and, you know, the policies don't even favor you.
It doesn't favor you at all.
So it's really, really sad. All right, we also have more stories here, and we have subsidy removal. Organized labor walks out of villa meeting, accuses federal government of deceiving Nigerians. We also have a feature story of the wonders of Uba, a town split between Adama and Borno. Reminds me of Askira Uba in Borno State. I don't know if it's the same town. But then we also have on health, diphtheria. Government sets up 3 treatment centers, as 130 hospitalized in Kano. We also have a Niger coup. Buhari expresses concern over fate of Bazoum. On encounter, meet Italy returnee who found greener pasture in Nigeria. And from top of the page there, we have on entertainment, negative comments never deter me, says Harirat Abdullahi. And meet the kid stars of Kannywood and Nollywood on entertainment still. Now, talking about, you know, subsidy removal, only God knows what would have happened at the villa for the organized labor to actually walk out of the meeting. Only God knows what would have transpired.
Indeed, a trigger.
You actually have them planning a strike. So with this walking out of meeting, does it mean that the strike continues? It's still on?
Yes, since they haven't put a stop to it, or they haven't announced, you know, that we're no longer doing it, then it's going to happen.
All right, so let's move on to more stories.
All right, let's move to the Punch newspaper this morning. The lead story that says Tinubu to split education, works, housing, other ministries, and plans basic tertiary education, human development, railways ministries. Experts divided over new ministries creation and highlight high governance costs. Now, all this you'll find on page 4 of the newspaper there. My daughter found joy in modeling after leg amputation. That's according to the mother of that child. You find this on page 27. Erotic workouts, how instructors, patrons use gyms for intimate affairs. Okay. We have a hotelier ignored pleas to fix fence that crushed my sons. That's according to mother, those teenagers. Very sad story. You find this on page 25 at the bottom there. Labor leaders storms out of villa meeting, insist on strike. Well, that answers your question there, Husseina. At the top of the newspaper there says governors rush to beat 60-day deadline, request commissioners confirmation. You find this on page 8 of the newspaper, and there is FIFA WWC singing, dancing, wake up Falcons spirit ahead of games. That's according to Ogbonna. You find this on page 30. Now, these are some of the stories from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, so we also have more newspapers here. We have This Day newspaper. From the top of the page there, we have Afenifere knocks president's economic policies, says government insensitive, says subsidy palliatives, NLC, TUC storm out of meeting with federal government. Kanu orders ECPA to end sit-at-home in South East. We also have below the name mast there, ahead of Bielsa, Kogi, Imo, Guber elections. INEC demands action against violence. We also have at Russia-African Summit, Shatima says Nigeria repositioned for greatness. And the lead story here says ECOWAS leaders meet in Abuja, US, UN back Tinubu's moves to restore democracy in Niger. Writers here says Buhari expresses shock, worries about Bazoum's family. France insists on reinstatement of Nigerian President. General Chiani is new leader, threatens bloodbath if foreign military intervenes. And then we also have a pictorial there of Assistant Comptroller General of Immigration, flanked by others, talking about border control on their minds. And then Google Global VP in Abuja gets federal government support for 1 million digital jobs in Nigeria. And these are some of the stories on this day newspaper.
Let's move to the Nation's newspaper this morning. From the top there, it says Simon Ekpa adamant as Kanu others end 2 seats at home. Finland-based agitator dismisses Kanu's later as fake. You find this on page 6 of the newspaper. Federal government asks ministerial nominees to complete documentation by July 30th. Congratulatory messages pour in for ministers designate. You'll find this on page 4 of the newspaper. The major story there says cabinet governors in last-minute rush to beat deadline. You find this on page 4. Writers there says Sanwo-Olu reappoints Omotosho, Abayomi Adeyoye, Wahab drops Olowo Arobieke Onigbancho. Ekweremadu's son, ex-governor Chime's daughter, nominated as Enugu commissioners, and Abiodun, Abdulrazak and others send list of nominees to assembly. You find all this on page 4 of the newspaper. Nigeria's fuel subsidy removal hurting Europe's refineries. That's according to a report. Labour leaders angry over aborted meeting with the federal government. You find this on page 7. Niger coup, Tinubu to host ECOWAS meeting tomorrow. UN, US back Nigeria on restoration of democratic order. You find this on page 2. APC caucus, the NEC meetings now to hold August 2nd and 3rd. North Central leaders back Ganduje for party chairmanship. You find this on page 7. And ministerial slots, PDP to decide Wike's fate on Monday. As acting, that's according to the acting chairman. You find this on page 2. Now, these are some of the stories on the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, let's take a look at Saturday Vanguard. And we have subsidy removal. NLC, NEC endorses August 2nd nationwide strike. And we also have fuel subsidy removal. Palliatives can't cure our pains, says Nigerians who cry out. And they say we are suffering, we need help. Effective palliatives shouldn't be selective, says ex-minister, which is my thoughts exactly, because everybody is actually feeling the brunt of the subsidy removal. Indeed. We're all Nigerians and we're all entitled to palliatives. So it shouldn't be just for, if you're talking about palliatives, everybody should
get it. That's
have
true.
Access to it. Take a look at during COVID. In the US, what happened? Everybody had access to groceries and everything. Everybody, whether you're rich or poor. So palliatives should be for every Nigerian.
Sure.
Now, government government not sincere about palliatives. Federal government invest in critical infrastructure, not handouts to few citizens. Now we have Ondo farmer bags live imprisonment for defiling neighbor's 6-year-old daughter. And we have this one that says, I offered my last child for money rituals to train other 9 children, says farmers. How does that even make sense? We'll talk about this later. Divergent views trail Tinubu's ministerial nominees. 28 names fall short of constitutional requirements, says ex-NBA scribe. And these are some of the stories on Vanguard.
Let's move to the Guardian newspaper there. The major story says 2 months after subsidy removal, life has become miserable, Nigerians tells Tinubu. You find this on page 24. Nnamdi Kanu declares end to sit at home in Southeast. This is on 29. Subsidy removal deadlock as Labour federal government failed to meet over lack of quorum. You'll find this on page 10. Buhari EU condemn coup, express concern over outside Nigerian president. You'll find this on page 3. Nigeria willing to support Google in creating 1 million jobs, says Tinubu. This you'll find also on page 3. Now below the marks there, it says in the music segment, Director C, Light Cameras and Legacy. And that was a sit down with her. If you want to hear more on what she had to say, you get to see it on the Guardian newspaper. Why prudent management of subsidy savings amid growing concerns is vital. That's under the politics segment. And Oyindamola Bernard, when women are given needed tools, resources and encouragement, they can achieve remarkable things indeed. Now, these are some of the stories on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, let's take a look at Saturday's Sun. We have just beside the name mast there, Yoruba, not Igbo, planned 1966 coup. Kanu says UK abandoned its citizens because he's Igbo. And if you want to read more on that, you go to grab a copy of Saturday's Sun and go to page 20. We have from prison, Kanu orders Simon Ekpa to end sit at home, says his aim is to liberate people, not to enslave them. We also have the lead story on ministerial nominees as intense lobbying in Kano, Bayelsa, Zamfara, Kogi, others. We have nominees, a mix of good, the bad, says MBF, Pandef, Yoruba Elders, and Northern Group. Nonye Soludo says why I promote healthy living. Chukwuka, CEO Green Life Pharmaceuticals, says at 60, I can't forget my life as only son, former ladies' shoes trader and businessman. We also have Archbishop Oneyekan's verdict, says Tinubu not yet Nigeria's president. On security, corruption, economy, we're still where we've been for 10 years. And on below the on the footnotes there, we have a Niger coup, Tinubu to host ECOWAS special meeting on Sunday. And these are some of the stories on Saturday's Sun.
Let's move to the Blueprint Weekend this morning. National Chairmanship on Noja, other North Central APC elders, OK Ganduje, Adamawa gets substantive cheer. You find this on page 4 of the newspaper. Sariki Mokhtar, Rufus Ada George, where are they now? You'll find that answer there on page 13 of the newspaper. Headers, farmers' crisis, greatest threat to Nigeria's existence, that according to WPO. You find this on page 9. Federal government asks ministerial nominees to complete documentation July 30th. That you find on page 8. Of the newspaper. So Unity Schools fees hike. We are confused and hopeless. Parents and others are saying, right as that says, it will multiply number of out-of-school children. Government should do everything possible to reverse situation. Hike only for fresh students. That's according to the federal government. You find this on page 5 and 6 of the newspaper there. I am a singer but couldn't become popular, according to Mariam Hotoro. You find it on page 17. NEMA evacuates 198 more Nigerians from Sudan. Interesting. I thought they were all evacuated already. You find this on page 9. Polls, INEC tax security agencies on action against undemocratic forces. This you find on page 4. Federal government to support Google create 1 million digital jobs. Well, that was what they promised. This you find on page 18. Tinubu hosts ECOWAS special meeting on Niger crisis. Now, these are some of the stories on the Blueprints Weekend.
All right, Leadership Weekend here says leadership postpones conference on drug abuse, and we also have Ganduje may resume as APC chairman at NEC meeting next Thursday. Now, there was actually rumors back then when, before Tinubu, when the president came into power, and he was supposed to be, like, a lot of people were saying that he might be a minister and all that. So if he doesn't get the ministerial job, then at least he becomes APC chairman. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. We also have the lead story on coup d'etat, talking about Tinubu rallying ECOWAS as General Chiani emerges Niger leader to host regional leaders in Abuja. US VP UN support Nigeria's efforts on Niger crisis. Buhari concerned about Bazoum's fate. We also have commissioner nominees, governors scramble to beat deadline. Lagos, Gombe, Yobe, Zamfara, Nasarawa send lists to state assemblies. We also have 19 million Nigerians living with hepatitis. Wow, that's quite a number. 19. We also have subsidy removal. Labour walks out of meeting with government, and Nigerians using police emergency numbers to obtain loans. I can't wait to read what that really says. Says FCT CP. These are some of the stories on Leadership Weekend.
All right, with that, we wrap up, bringing you the front page stories. And now we'll just take a look at one or two stories from, what's happening. Hussein, what is happening right now, is the Niger coup. And on this day newspaper, the Tichani, that's the General Tichani, the new leader, threatens bloodbath. I mean, everyone is expecting that because he knows for certain that if eventually democracy should be restored in Niger, he will be one of the people facing, I don't know, the most severe punishment.
Well, I really, like, a lot of people actually reserving their comments when it comes to, the Niger coup. And just like one of our analysts actually said yesterday, even the citizens don't seem to be pushing back. That means there's something wrong somewhere. There's something wrong.
But in this era, though, would people prefer the military regime? We know how, and how tough that can be.
Everything is tough, even in democracy.
Not as that.
Yeah,
now you can go to social media and blab and say whatever you want to say.
The good thing is that the head of the ECOWAS, that our president Tinubu is actually going to be having a meeting on that particular issue on Sunday, and hopefully they'll find a solution and they'll bring back democracy.
A solution that would not end up, hurting people,
yes.
The citizens of Niger, of course. All right, what you were talking about, businesses shutting down due to the poor power supply and cost of fuel. And honestly, I feel like the economy is taking a hit on that one. It's too much on people. It's too much on these business owners, and even on the people, because they don't even have patronage at all. People have to be okay for them to come meet you and purchase your things.
Purchasing power has drastically, reduced. You don't have, from whatever means you're getting your money, all you have to think about is how to make more money and not even how to spend. Like you said, leisure is not even an option. You can't even say you want to go out and chill or something, because you have to think about how much you're going to spend, because what is obtainable, even in those, places that you go to for your leisure, is no longer obtainable. Everybody has increased prices. Do you understand? So would you be going out to have fun? No. You have to think about, if you're a worker, you have to think about how whatever you earn in a month can actually take you through the month so that you'll be able to work. Even feeding has drastically reduced. Those who used to feed 3 times a day now feed twice or once in a day.
Exactly.
That's if they even see food.
Exactly.
We saw the report the other day on Trust TV of a man, like a group of people, laborers waiting for work. They didn't get jobs. One man said he only ate granite since morning. That's how bad it is. And
you're expected to put in the work with low energy, to do some hustle.
So the purchasing power has drastically reduced.
And let's not forget, the school fees.
We're not even going there yet. Like, a lot of things. It touches on a lot of things. I'm still talking about that. We're actually talking about how the Labour actually walked out of the meeting
Yes.
with, the
federal government.
Yes, at the villa. And apparently, the Labour Union has actually accused the federal government of being insensitive and not being serious and deceiving Nigerians. But a source at the meeting, according to, if you grab a copy of Daily Trust Saturday newspaper, you'd actually read up more on that. A source at the meeting confirmed that 3 subcommittees, which is the mass transit, which is a very, very important palliative that would have cushioned the effect of the fuel subsidy removal, the compressed natural gas, that's the CNG, another very important aspect, you get, where
it doesn't
now
need
even
fuel.
if you want to switch to the CNG, you're going to pay from your nose. And cash transfer subcommittees, 3 very important subcommittees, were nowhere to be found. Yes, they are supposed to be present to brief the steering committee on the measures put in place to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal of the workers. But Labour claims that government officials who are members of those subcommittees were nowhere to be found. So how can you have a meeting without these important,
people,
committees or these important representatives?
It's like it's not taken seriously. The matter is not taken seriously.
Exactly. So Labour has now said that August 2nd is still sacrosanct. Strike continues or strike begins.
And at this point, honestly, I don't think anybody can blame Nigerians, for reacting if they should decide to just sit at home and not do anything, because it's been 2 months of hardship. It's not even funny anymore. People at the first month, people were like, "Okay, it will get better."
But with the increase,
but then
fuel,
instead of it to at least just maintain or go down, it increased again.
I bought half a tank of petrol, and it cost me 30,000 naira, Sumaya.
Which is too much. And not even full, because if we're talking about full
tank. Back then, when it was 527, it was just like, barely 20 or something. But now it's almost
600. And
do you understand what I'm saying? 620 naira per litre.
It's just too much. And how do the government want people to survive on this?
Do you understand? And nothing. There's no increase in minimum wage. There's nothing. How are we supposed to survive? Because as far as we're concerned, right now, at the moment, we're leaving for work. We're leaving to work. You work, you get the money, you still use the money for work. And even if you get extra money, it's still for work.
So exactly. That's not living at all. That's not. It's just too much, and it's not fair on Nigerians. I mean, when you push Nigerians to say persevere, there should be a limit.
You should still help.
There should be a limit to it.
2 months, and it doesn't seem like there's anything happening in the next 2 weeks.
We're not seeing it.
8,000 naira palliatives for some people. What happens to the rest of us? Do you understand what I'm saying?
The funny thing
that has been trashed. Do you understand? Yes, but there's still going to be cash transfer because there's a committee. So probably they would increase it to how much?
And even if it is increased, would it be enough?
How much?
Because when you put the whole money at the end of the year, it's like 100 to 120. How would that cushion the effects? So the good thing to go would be that
200. But some people have actually claimed that if the minimum wage is increased, that there'll be serious inflation. Is there no inflation now?
There is inflation already, so it's something that needs to be done. And let's not forget, even when the cash transfer decides to happen, if it's taking place, Husseina, just like the governor of Kaduna, Obasani, came out to say that there is a lot of people that don't even have account. They don't have a bank account.
So he wants them to become bankable.
Exactly. Some of them even
and those are the people that are supposed to be receiving the palliative.
Receive it, exactly. How? And these are the people that, it took a while for the normal Nigerians to convince them to go to the bank and save up their money. But then with the whole cashless policy that was extreme on people, people don't trust banks anymore. So how do you expect that money to reach them?
Money enters your account, you are debited. It leaves your account, you're still debited. So you end up losing.
It's just too much. A lot of things are happening right now, but it's a really, really sad situation.
There's this story on Encounter that talks about the Italian returnee who found greener pastures in Nigeria. Like they say, the grass is not always greener at the other side. Do you understand? Sometimes you find gold where you are. There's no need. And sometimes it takes you to actually leave where you are, go to where you're going to before you come back to find that gold. It depends. it actually depends on how your journey is. So, but it's a good thing that she's found gold. If you want to find out
in Nigeria,
yes,
that's
who
good.
it is, and find out what she actually did to strike gold in Nigeria, you can grab a copy of Daily Trust newspaper.
Sometimes,
it's just
it's
250 naira.
Indeed.
Yes.
Sometimes I think,
Page 10.
when you go somewhere, you tend to pick maybe an idea, and then you start realizing that there are a lot of opportunities where you're left that you can explore. So maybe going there was also a good thing. She got to learn, or
she
he
said
got
while
to
she
learn
was
something.
in Italy, she had to resort to or embrace prostitution to survive or even face torture.
That's majorly the thing that a lot of people do on
came
that
back, learned a skill, and she's using it for good, which is
that's a good thing.
It's never too late for you to turn your life around.
Indeed. So no one is blaming you right now. The economy is stiff as it is. So just make sure you turn back, and at the end of the day, you do something good with your life. That's the most important thing. All right, these are some of the stories we get to analyze this morning. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we get to open the line to hear from you on a very important issue. Stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that
not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that